All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is Anthony Smoak. As always, if you learned something, go ahead, hit that like button, leave a comment, and make sure you ring the bell so you get a notification when I drop a new video. You can also follow me on Instagram at Anthony Smoak Data. So today, I've got a dashboard here in Tableau Public. Love that you can save locally in Tableau Public now. And we've got this dashboard, and I'm going to show you how to put together this dashboard. Actually, in this video, it's probably going to be a two-parter. I'm going to show you how to build out all of the chart elements in this dashboard. Pretty cool design of this dashboard. You can see I can select different metrics here, orders, profits, or sales. We can change the year, right? Get that year-over-year comparison. Got the little dot underneath and the color change. So again, really cool dashboard. You should learn how to build it. All right, so out on my Tableau Public page, you can download this dashboard if you want to follow along or if you want to break it down yourself and open it up. But I have to give credit where credit is due. I did not design this dashboard. So this is out on Dmitry Shirikov's page. Follow Dmitry on Tableau Public. Actually, I reached out to Dmitry. I said, hey, I'm loving the dashboard. Would it be okay if I used it in my video as a breakdown? And he gave me the thumbs up. So shout out to you, Dmitry. Really appreciate that. And so also you can see Dmitry lists a dashboard by Murilo Cremone as a inspiration. And this is Murilo's page on Tableau Public. And you can see a similar design aesthetic. Actually took this from Murilo's here. I like the little dots underneath. So again, love the spirit of Tableau Public. People put things out there so you can learn. Appreciate that. Shout out to Dmitry. Shout out to Murilo. Follow them on Tableau Public. Have to give credit where credit is due with respect to the dashboard. Okay, so just as an overview of the charts that we're going to build out. So you can see we're going to build out this kind of this KPI right here. Fairly straightforward. Then we'll build out this colored kind of KPI right here, which is pretty cool because it changes colors. So if I look at 2022 sales, you'll see if it's negative, if it's down, it'll change colors. That's pretty cool. Then we'll move over to building out this bar chart right here with the year over year in the tooltip and these kind of dots here that highlight anything that's negative. Pretty cool. Then we'll move to build the map. Then we're going to build out a bar chart. So if you learn how to build out one, you pretty much have them all, right? So if you can build out one, you can build out all of them. Then we'll build out this button selector here, which allows you to change the metrics. So just a quick overview of all of the chart elements we're going to build out in this video lesson. All right, so let's get into the data set here. I'm just using Tableau Superstore. This is the standard Tableau data set that you get with Tableau. I just call it Superstore Modified because I've changed I've added some columns for my purposes, but for the most part, this is Tableau Superstore. So you can follow along with this exercise with the Tableau Superstore data set. So let's go into sheet 1 here. And the first thing we need to do in order to build this out, we need to build parameters. So let's go ahead. I'm going to create a parameter. And we're going to call it year. Oops. Selected. And then I want to make sure that my number custom. So here, let's change this. This is going to be an integer. And my current value. Whoops, sorry. It's going to be a list. And so I want to make sure I add 2022. Even though I have a year before this, I just want to show 2022, not 2021. So 2023 and 2024. So we're just going to create that current value, value when the workbook opens. That's fine. This should be good. We're going to call this year selected. And I don't think I can change this. Well, yeah, I can display format. Yeah, let's change this to a number and no decimals. And get rid of that right there. So display format looks like this. So, okay. We're going to hit OK here. So we have year selected created. So now what we need to do, we need to create a number of calculated field. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's create a calculated field, and I'm going to call it sales selected year. And because I have this pre-built, I'm just going to copy this in from my pre-built dashboard, right? Because I don't feel like typing. If the year of the order date is equal to the year selected, then show sales. Otherwise, you don't show anything. So let's go ahead and create that. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to just, I kind of like to show the parameter here so you can see our parameter works. We got 2022, 2023, and 2024, right? That works. Okay, so now let's create a sales previous year. What I can do for the sales selected year, let's go ahead and duplicate this. I'm going to right click, and one day this will respond. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. And then I'm going to edit this, right click. I'm going to edit this. And I want to call this sales previous year instead of selected year. So sales previous year. And again, just going to copy this in. The only difference is if the year of the order date is the year selected minus 1. So if I select 2022, if the year is 2021, then give me sales. I'm going to say, okay, that is a valid calculation. So we've created 2 calculated fields so far. You can tell by the equals that are there. And we're going to keep creating some calculated fields here. Let's create a calculated field called sales change year over year. So let's go ahead and do this. Create calculated field, sales change year over year. And again, just going to copy this in here. This is just the formula for a year over year. You have the selected year minus the previous year divided by the previous year. It's going to give you your sales change year over year. So let's go ahead and build that out. Say OK. And then we're going to have we can duplicate this. So let's go ahead and duplicate sales change year over year. Go in here and edit. I don't know why it doesn't like to right click on edits. That's fine. So we're going to go in here to edit that. And let's change this to, it's going to be the same exact thing, but this is just sales change sign. So what this is going to be the up arrow or the down arrow. So it's going to show an up arrow for positive and a down arrow for negative. We don't have to change anything for the actual calculation. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, the only thing we do have to do here is the formatting on this. So if I go here into sales change sign, and I'm just going to hit the button here. If I go to default properties, number format, and custom, I'm going to paste this in here. And you can find these ASCII values, an up arrow, down arrow. So what this is formatted as, when I have a positive number, I'm going to show the up arrow. And then when I have a negative number, I'm going to show that down arrow, right? So that's all. This is just the sign that's going to be in front of the actual sales change year over year. So we've done that. So again, sorry, we're just setting up all these calculations. We have to have this in order to build this out. So now let's create another calculated field here. Now this is for the little dot that goes underneath the bar charts here. And again, you can find the ASCII value here for this little dot. And so I'm just going to call this sales. This is like the dot sales. If my change year over year is less than 0, basically negative, then show a little dot. And you'll see where this comes into play later. So we have that sales. All right, now two more calculations. Bear with me. So let's create a calculated field. This is very simple. We're going to call this selected year. Right? And it is simply this parameter. I think I can drag it in here, year selected. That's all that is. Say OK. And then I'm going to go in here and duplicate this. And we're going to edit this. And then this is going to be year selected -1. And we're going to call this previous year. Makes sense. And not previous year copy. Let's get rid of that and say OK. Okay, now that we have all these created, let's try and put them in some folders here. So let's go up to Worksheet, or sorry, where is this? Group by folder. So let's see if it'll let me do this. I want to go to folders, create a folder, and let's call this sales. We want to put everything in our sales folder. And so I'm going to do this to make it easier. So let's grab our sales change sign. All of these calculated fields we created, and you can see by the little equal sign. We're going to highlight all of those, and we're going to do this. We're going to folders, add to folder, sales. So now I have all of these calculated fields in a sales folder, nice and easy. So again, those are the calculated fields that we need to set up just to do sales. Now we have to repeat these for our other KPIs, but I just wanted to show you sales here first. Okay, let's build out this first KPI here for sales. So let's take our sales selected year and our sales previous year, and let's put that on the text. As you can see, we have the two values there. Let's go ahead and hide this right here. Sheet 1, we don't need that. And then I want to call this sales, basically. All right, we have that. And then in the marks area, if I go into text, let's click here. We get this kind of pop up here. And so what I want to do, I want to have sales here. And then I want to insert the sum of sales selected year. And then I want to insert sum of sales previous year, obviously. And I'm going to put prior year here. And so now I just want to format this. Let's move these over to the side. And let's make this, let's make our sales a Tableau bold 10. So let's go to 10. Let's do like a Tableau bold here. Okay. And then let's make this really big. So let's make this like a Tableau bold 17, right? Let's go 17. Oops. Let's type it in myself. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's go back in here. There we go. Tableau bold 17. And let's make this a Tableau Tableau semi-bold 9. That looks good. And we'll keep the prior year semi-bold. Let's go Tableau, maybe semi-bold 7. Semi-bold, let's make that a little smaller. 7 I have to type in. So let's take a look at that. You see, that is our kind of KPI here for sales. And we can change the values here, and we can see that they are updating. But we just need to make sure that we are formatting these correctly. So let's go into tooltip here. I don't want to show tooltips. So let's unselect all of these. So I don't want that to highlight. But I do need these to be dollars, right? So I'm going to right-click here, and let's format these. And in the pane, let's go here, default. This is going to be currency. I don't want any decimals. Well, no, I do. I want it to be like a, well, let's do 1 decimal. Sorry, let's do 1 decimal. Let's do display units, thousands, and we can keep the thousands separator. So we'll have like a 734.0K. That's cool. And then we're just going to do the same thing for our sales previous year. Format that. Go in here to currency custom. Let's do a 1 decimal. Keep the thousands, and then this is going to be in thousands as well. And we end up with this, right? And so this is our sales metric here that's going to appear on the dashboard. The only other thing I want to do here is change the worksheet color here. See the worksheet default color? Let's change this to a very, very light purple. Right, that's the hex. Let's say okay there, and it's a very, very light purple. This shade will show up better when we do the dashboard, but we want to make sure that we do that. All right, let's go to the next sheet here. We're going to call this sales BTN for button, and that's going to be just that little year over year metric that's underneath our main metric. So going back to the dashboard, that's going to be this right here. So it's going to change colors as well. So, all right, let's set this up. I always like to hide the title. Let's go ahead and get rid of the title there. And so now I want to put sales change year over year. I want to put that on our color. And I want to put sales change year over year on the text. Let's go ahead and put that on the label. And let's go ahead and put sales change sign on the text as well. So now we're set up like this. And obviously we have to make some changes there. Let's go ahead and edit colors here. So what I want to do, we want to use a diverging, a custom diverging, if you will. And on this side, I want this pink color here. You can see the HTML for that. Say OK. And on this side, I want kind of a green color here. As you can see the HTML for that there. So we've got this set up, and I want stepped color. We only want 2. And we want to make this reversed. Let's go ahead advanced and start the center at 0. So we end up with something like this. Let's go ahead and say OK. Okay, now let's go ahead and edit the labels here in the text. We're going to go ahead and get in here. And so I want this, let's bring this up to the same line here. And let's go ahead and bring this over to the left. And let's make Tableau, no, let's go ahead and put this here. So we got the year over year, and we've got the sign, when actually we need the sign first. And then we need the year over year. And then I'm just going to put like a V versus previous year, essentially. So now on these first 2, let's make these Tableau semi-bold. Let's go in here, Tableau semi-bold. Great. Is this Tableau semi-bold? There we go, 9. And then let's make this like a Tableau medium 8. And say OK. So we end up with something like that. And obviously we need to do some formatting. Let's go to the tooltip. Again, I don't want the tooltip to show up, so I'm just going to unselect all of that so we get nothing that shows up there. Okay, now that we have those percentages set up, let's go ahead and change this from automatic. Let's change this to a square. And let's make this entire view. And let's go into the label and center this, right? So it's right there. And so I always have, I was trying to find this. I was like, how do we get this, the font to match the color and this match mark color here? So you can see what I did. I selected the font, match mark color, and there we go. Let's go ahead and show our year selected. Show parameter. Okay, there we go. All right, after we show the parameter, let's go ahead and change the values. You can see they change colors based upon whether it's positive or negative. So we've set this up correctly. Okay, let's move on to the next worksheet here. We're going to call this sales graph. So sales graph, it's a bar graph. All right, so what we're going to do now, let's focus on setting up our columns and rows. So I want the order date. I'm going to put the order date here, and I want this to be a month, right? Not this month down here, just this month. And we want the sales here in our columns as well. And then I want the sum sales selected. So let's go ahead and sales selected year here, and sales selected previous year here as well. And so let's change this to a bar. And let's, whoops, not on all. Yeah, so on this first one, yes. On the second one, I want this to be a Gantt bar. And you can see what's going to happen here. We're going to do a dual axis to bring these two together. So let's go ahead and dual axis, right? We end up with something like that. And then we can just kind of go through here and do some formatting, clean up. Let's hide the title. I'm just going to do formatting cleanup here. So let's go ahead and hide this. Oh, whenever you do a dual axis, always make sure you synchronize the axes. Or maybe on the actual axes, there we go. Synchronize axis, there we go. So now they're synchronized. Now I can hide them. So let's go ahead and get rid of show header there. And let's get rid of all these lines, format. Let's take all this down. Usually it's here in the borders. If we get rid of the row dividers, say none there, and the column dividers, say none. And, right, so that should be good. Columns, we're looking good. Let's go over here to lines. I always go to sheet, take out the 0 lines, don't want that. If I go to rows, take the grid lines off, and columns should be good. So now we've got this nice clean look right here. And so let's go ahead now and format this right here. I'm going to right click on this. We're going to format, and I want this to be in the header. So let's make this a Trebuchet. Let's change the font. Trebuchet MS. Let's make it 8. And I want this this color to be. Yeah, maybe I'll keep the color the way it is right here. Maybe I'll go like to this very light black right here. But what's important is here on the dates, I just want first letter. You see those all change right there. Okay, from here, let's go ahead and size our bar. I'm going to go here to size. Whoops, on the bar. Let's go ahead and size. Let's put this maybe a little under half. That feels about right. And then obviously we will need to size this as well. So we're right around the same. Want to make sure that that is within. There we go. That looks good. So we've got our sizing right. And now I want to make sure that we have the colors correct. Okay, so what we want to do now is remove this measure name as well. And then I want to put my sales change year over year on the color, right? And so we end up with this kind of interesting look right here. But we want to go into the colors, edit the colors here. And again, we want that custom diverging. So let's go custom diverging. And we only want 2 colors. And if I go to advanced, I want that center to be 0. And what do I want for this color here? I want my pink color, right? FCC. Actually, it's a different pink. Let's do this one. I'm going to copy this from the actual built-out worksheet here. FCB to A8. That is the pink that I want. I'm going to copy this here. Let's put this, let's assign this to, let's do that. Assign it so it stays there. That's the pink that I want. And so now on this side, I want a very kind of light purple. This is the HTML that I want for that. So we're going to say OK. And let's say OK again. And we end up with something like this. Let's go ahead and format our dot down here. So let's go ahead and format this. When it shows up, we want it to be, and I want this to be in the header. And this is going to be the header font here. And let's go in here. Let's do a more colors. And I'm going to put in this color right here. Say OK. And you see that my dot, when it shows up, is this color. All right, so one thing I want to point out, make sure you have on this, on the second mark, make sure you have measure names there in case you don't see it. It should be here. You can drag it here to the color. But make sure that that color is, I chose blue here. So you can just select that for the sales previous year and say OK, and that will show up. Okay, now let's build out what we need for the tooltip here. So let's go up here And let's make sure we put on the, and I'm going to widen this just a little bit here so we can see everything. And so it's going to be a bunch of sales related fields. So we can go up to our sales, and I want to make sure we have our sales previous year. We can put that in the tooltip or the detail. Let's do our sales change sign on the tooltip. Let's do our selected year. So that's going to be here, selected year. Let's put that on the tooltip. And let's make sure that that is ATTR. If you don't know what that function means, look it up. It's one of those interesting Tableau functions that let you know whether you have like not necessarily duplicate values, but more than one value for a specific field. But I'm using it here as a shortcut for an aggregation. So I'm going to do a selected year, and then let's do the previous year as well. Let's put the previous year here on the tooltip. And let's put this, I don't want it to sum, but I want that ATTR in there. And now we're going to do our tooltip. And let's come in here. And because I'm lazy, I had this set up already. And let's go ahead and look here. We have to do some formatting. But these are, again, let's zoom in here. These are the values in this order that you want to have in order to have the tooltip kind of look like this. Now we're going to have to format our years, and we're going to have to format our dollars and percent. So let's go ahead and do the formatting. We can do that together at least. Okay, first up, let's do the selected year. Let's format that, and let's look in the pane. And for numbers, for a selected year, we want this to be a number. We don't want decimal places. We don't want that thousands, include thousands separator. And so if I go here, you'll see it's M 2024. That's good. And let's do the previous year the same way. I'm going to right click. Actually, I could go up here. I could go previous year, and we're going to do the same thing. It's a number, no decimals, uncheck include thousands separator. And you'll see my year looks a lot cleaner here. So let me go into the tooltip actually. Looks like there's an extra. Is there an extra space here? Let's say okay. So now, yeah, that looks a lot cleaner. So now we need to just format our percentage and our actual sales previous year as well, and sales selected year. All right, let's go ahead and change sales change year over year and format that. This is going to be a percentage, and I think I only want one decimal. Let's go one decimal on that. And so if we take a look there, 5.3%, negative 19.5%, that looks good. And then for these, let's go ahead and for the sales selected year, let's go ahead and format this in the pane. So sales selected year, this is going to be currency, custom. Let's do one decimal. Let's keep the thousands separator, but let's go thousands here. And so if we look, you'll see we get that 53.9K, and we're going to do the same thing for sales previous year. I can right click here, format. Let's do the same exact thing. Currency, custom, one decimal, uncheck. Well, we can keep the thousands separated, like I said, but I want to show this display unit in thousands. So now if I go here, you'll see that I get those numbers formatted at 53.9K and 51.2K. And actually, is there a little bit of a spacing? There we go. So I'm going to say OK here. And now that looks clean. The tooltips look clean. When I select here, I don't get anything here. So there we go. Last thing we want to do here is this sizing. Let's go ahead and push this over, and let's go ahead and pull this up. So this is really kind of compact in here. We end up with something like that, very compact. So there we go. We've created this sales graph. Okay, so I've skipped ahead a little bit in the process. You'll notice we created the sales button, and the sales graph, but we have to repeat those three worksheets for profits, orders, and customers. And so the calculation is going to be very similar. So let's take a look at profit. Profit, we'll do profit previous year. If the year order date equal year selected minus 1, then profit, right, instead of sales. Similar concept. All of these are going to be the same concept as the sales, right? So this is if the year order date equal year selected, then profit. Say okay. Let's look at the change year over year. I've got profit selected year instead of sales selected year in all of these, right? You're going to have to create those, right? Just like you did the sales selected year. And the sign is going to be the same, basically the same calculation as the profit change year over year. It's just we're calling it sign. And then we have our little dot here for profit, if the profit change year over year. So that is profit. Now let's move on to orders. Orders is going to be a little different, but pretty much very similar. So we can look at orders previous year. If the year of the order date equal year selected minus 1, then order ID, right? You're going to pull the order ID in here. And order selected year, order date equal year selected, then order ID. The orders, all right, if the orders change year over year, got that? You're going to have to create that. And then the orders change year over year is a little different. Instead of sum, it's count distinct. So you're counting the distinct orders associated with orders in the selected year minus those in the previous year divided by the orders in the previous year. So that gives you the change year over year, but you're using a count distinct instead of sum. So that's a little bit different for the orders change. And of course, the sign is going to be the same, just orders change sign. So that's a little different. And customers, similar to orders. So if we look at the, let's start with the previous year. We're going to put customer name in here instead of order ID, customer name. Same thing with the customer selected year, right? Customer name. For the customer, if the customer change year over year is less than 0, then put our dot, otherwise nothing. And then our year over year, our calculation uses the count distinct, same as with the orders. And same thing for the sign. So you have to create all of these calculated fields, and then you set up your different worksheets, same as we did sales. The only difference is on the orders here, we're going to do a count distinct. Now it shortens it to CNTD. You're going to type in count distinct, or you're going to select count distinct. Don't type in CNTD. You can come down here, measure, count distinct. You can do that when you drag your order previous years in here. So those are going to be count distinct. This is pretty much the same ag. And on these, you're going to have a count distinct orders previous year in the orders graph. That's measure names as well. Customer, count distinct. Customer button, that's what it looks like. And then on the graph, you've got a count distinct on the customer previous year. Not another count distinct in there. This should be measure name. So this is what you have to build this out, right? We need all of these. And again, go to my Tableau Public page, download the workbook, get in here, take a look at it, use that, as well as following along with the video. Okay, one thing I'll note here is I threw the previous year and the selected year in their own folders called years. So now we need to create a parameter that's going to support the swapping of metrics, right? So let's go ahead and do this. Let's create a parameter. And we're going to call this metric swap param. So let's do this. Metric swap param. This is going to be a string and a list. And I want sales, profit, and orders. Sales, profit, and orders. Pretty straightforward, but I want this to display as all caps. Sales, profit, profit, and orders, all caps. There we go. I'm going to say OK to this. Now we need to create a number of calculated fields that are going to use this metric swap parameter. So we can actually show this just to make sure that we set it up correctly. Yep, that looks right. Okay, so now a parameter by itself is useless. You got to have a So now a parameter by itself is useless. You have to have calculated fields in order to take advantage of that parameter. So let's go ahead and create a calculated field. I'm going to call this metric swap calc. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit from my finished dashboard and copy this in here. And we can see what's happening here. So based upon what's selected from the metric swap parameter, if it's sales, then we're going to sum the selected year. We're going to sum all the sales for the selected year. Likewise for profits and orders, you're going to count the orders for the selected year. And so I put a Z in. I want to handle null values. Dmitry didn't have that in his dashboard. I was just paranoid. Want to handle those null values. So I'm just going to say OK here. And we have a metric swap calc. And I want to throw this folders. I'm going to create a folder. And let's create a folder called metric swap calcs, something like that. Say OK. And now I have my metric swap calcs with metric swap calc in there. Now we need to create a number of calculations in order to enable our dashboard to have the functionality that we need to switch KPIs. So I'm just going to use the magic of editing and add all these calculations, and we'll come back and I'll open them up and step you through them. Okay, through the magic of editing, you can see I added a number of calculations here. Let's go through them so you can build them out. And like I say, go to my Tableau Public page, download the workbook if you need to see them a little bit more in depth. But let's look at metric swap calc previous year. Again, based upon what we select from our parameter, we're just going to have a sales previous year, profit previous year, or orders previous year. Let's look at metric swap calc label. So with the labeling, depending upon whether we're sales, profit, or orders, we may want different formatting. So dollar sign, and a K at the end when I have any sort of currency. And then for orders, I just want a straight count. So we have this metric swap calc label. All right. Let's look at metric swap calc previous year label. Let's go here and look at that. Kind of same deal, except we are looking at sales previous year, profit previous year, and orders previous year. Depending upon what's selected by the metric swap parameter, we'll get these concatenated values here. The value of sales with a dollar sign and our sales previous year divided by 1,000 plus K, right? So on and so forth. So we have that. Let's look at the metric swap change year over year. Oops, and I spelled that wrong. So let's go CHANGE. And as you can see, these are the calculations here for. Can I make this any wider here? There we go. These are the calculations here for our year over year, depending upon what's selected. So take a look at that. We're basically using sums and then counts for the orders. Okay. And then the sign is typically the same. We're just calling it metric swap change, year over year sign, making sure I spell that correctly. Say OK. Now, the only thing on the sign here, let's go ahead and default properties, number format, custom. And then again, we want our ASCII values, our up arrow for positive and our down arrow here for negative. Say OK. So we have formatted that. So these are all of the calculations you will need in order to enable metric swapping. All right, let's go ahead and get into creating a map. So now I'm on a new worksheet. I named it map, right? Let's go down here. Let's find the state. Let's put that on the detail. And that should make a map outline show up. And what we can do now, I want to turn off, let's go to the map up here. And if we go to map options, no, not background layers. Yeah, let's take the base off. Let's take the land cover off. So we end up basically, something like that. And we can make this instead of automatic. Sorry, let's make this a map first. So we end up with something like this. And we have no kind of other background here. We just got our US kind of floating in the void here. Let's hide our title. Let's drag the metric swap calc to colors. So metric swap calc to colors. And we end up with something like that. And I want to make sure that we change our map colors here. So let's go ahead and for our colors, let's edit the colors. And we love diverging, right? So let's do a custom diverging. And our colors that we want here. Well, first of all, let's go down to 2. We only want one or the others. And I want a gray here for this side right here. We want like a little gray. You can see that HTML right there. Say OK. And then on this side, we want like a purple. Not that one. Yeah, let's go with this one right here. We can say OK to that. And I think we want to leave we leave the center the way it is. Let's just hit OK here. And, boom, let's show our metric swap param. Let's show these here. Show the parameter. We can show the year selected. I don't think it matters, but does this do anything yet? It does. It does something because we have our metric swap calc on the colors. Great. Let's make the map border a purple as well. So if I go back in here, let's go in the borders. I believe it's this purple right here. This one right here. Yes. Let's go ahead and do that. So now we'll get that kind of purple border action there. Now on the rows, I'm going to duplicate the latitude here. That's going to give us 2 maps, right? And then on this second one here, we want to make this a circle. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to, actually, before we're going to combine these together, we're going to dual axis at some point. But before we do that, I need to show the metric swap calc. Let's go ahead and put that on size, right? So now on the color, if I come in here, more colors, there we go. That's what I want to see. I want to let's use this color here that I'm about to bring in. It's taking forever. I want this shade of purple for my color here for the circles. Great. Let's change the circle border to white. Let's go ahead and make that white for our circle border. Perfect. And then let's play around with the size here. I want my size to be kind of right in the middle there. Okay, so we got some big circles there. I can hide this legend. I don't need that. Hide the card here. And so now what we can do, we can get into like the tool tip. We got to do this. We got to do the dual axis, right? We got to bring these together. Okay, so now let's set up our tooltips. So in here, for this tooltip, I don't want to show anything. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's unselect these, say OK. We want to be on this first latitude generated. And so we need to bring in a number of fields over here to place either on the detail or on the tooltip. So let's go ahead and do this. let's bring over the selected year and the previous year. So I'm going to bring over selected year, put that on the detail, and let's bring over the previous year and put that on the detail as well. And then now let's bring over our state and put that on the, where is state? Let's put that on the tooltip as well. Make sure it's ATTR. Excellent. Now let's put our labels, both of our labels on there as well. Our metric swap calc label goes on the tooltip, and the previous year also goes on the tooltip. And now let's bring over our year over year and the sign as well. Let's bring over this on the tooltip and the sign. And so we have all of these fields on our tooltip. Okay, let's make sure this is not sum. Let's make sure these are both ATTR. Should have done that in the first place. And change this sum as well. Okay, hit enter. Now if I go back in the tooltip, oh, of course, it took it all away, took all our nice formatting away. That's all right. I'm going to bring it back in. If I preview this, now there we go. So now I may have to format some things here, but that's okay. So again, we may have to we'll do some formatting here to make sure that we get this correct. Okay, let's do a little formatting here. So we want to change our percent. Let me widen this a little bit here. So I'm going to format this. Let's go to format, and we want this to be a percent in the pane here. Let's go ahead, percentage, and 1 decimal place. Let's see how that looks. There we go, 13.8%. Now we just need to format our year, a selected year, and our previous year. So let's go ahead and format this. And I just want this to be a number with no decimal places. I don't want the thousand separator here. You can see year 2022 is looking good. Let's do the same thing for year 2021. I can go here to previous year, and we're going to format that the same, no decimal places, and unselect that thousand separator. Now, if I look at my tooltip, that looks correct. I don't want anything here. Again, just going in, double check, make sure there's nothing there. And now we have our map. Okay, now we're going to create some bar charts. This section should be fairly simple. Once we create one, we should be able to create the others very easily. So let's go ahead. I like the colors here when I finish up with my worksheet. So let's make this like a red or something like that. So all right. So now we're going to call this category bar. It's going to be a bar chart here. And of course, I want to hide the title. Don't care about the title. So let's set this up like this. We're going to use our metric swap calc. It's all about our metric swap calcs and our metric swap calc previous year, because the bar chart's going to show the bar is going to be the current year, and a Gantt line, a Gantt bar line is going to be the previous year. We're going to compare the two. So, okay. We're going to set that up like that. Let's bring our category over. Our category dimensions, put that on the rows. And let's do a metric swap calc change year over year. Let's bring that here. And it's going to give us that kind of setup because it's continuous, but we're going to make it discrete. Okay. All right. So we want to make sure that, well, let's do this. Let's do entire view. And let's make sure that this is a bar. And let's make sure that this is a Gantt bar. All right, so that's going to shorten up there. All right, you know what we're going to do. We got to go dual axis. So let's go ahead and right click. Let's do you always have to pick the right one to do the dual axis. There we go. We're going to do dual axis there. And whenever you do a dual axis, what do you need to do? Synchronize the axes. So, okay, so now we've got a synchronized axes. We can hide both of these. I'm going to select off of the show header. Let's get rid of those. Let's go ahead and, I don't need to see this. Let's hide the field labels for rows. And so, I guess I can get rid of all of the formatting here if I want to. Let's go ahead and let's format this down. Let's get rid of the formatting. Row dividers, none. Column dividers, none here. And that should repeat for the rows and the columns. If I go over here to lines, I always start on sheet. Go 0 lines. You know what? I kind of keep the 0 lines here. So we're going to keep the 0 lines here. Maybe I'll make this like a black or something like that to make it stand out. We'll keep the 0 lines. We'll go to the rows here. What if I say on here, get rid of that. And then on the columns, we'll keep that, but no grid lines. So we still have that. All right, so we've pared down our formatting here, getting rid of some of those lines. Now let's do some coloring here. So on our metric swap calc, we're going to remove the measure names here. Let's go ahead and put metric swap change year over year on the color. Great, we've got that going on here. Let's go ahead and edit the colors. And you know what it is. It's custom diverging time, just like we've always done. Let's do custom diverging. And stepped color, we only want 2 colors. We want the center to be 0. And on this side, we want this pink here. Let me make sure I've got the right, that I'm telling you the right color. That is the correct color. And then on this side, we want that purple shade. Let me make sure we've got the right purple. And that looks like the right purple. I'm going to say OK. And then we get something like that. And then obviously we need to create the tooltip from here. So obviously we'll format these as well. But let's go ahead and build out the tooltip. All right, before we get into the tooltip, let's format these real quick. So I'm going to format this. Let's do in the header, let's do a Tableau book, 8 point, something like that. Bring that down. And then we're going to format this as a percentage 1. So we have something like that. And we can also bring that down to an 8 point. There we go. And then let's bring this in. Let's bring this in a little bit too. Tighten that up. All right, that's looking good. All right, so now, yes, we can create the tooltip, but I want to make sure that we bring in all of the fields that we need. So on the swap calc here, we want to bring in all of these on the tooltip. Let's bring over the year and the sign, metric swap change year over year. And the sign, we'll put that on the tooltip. Let's bring over ATTR selected year and previous year. So there's selected year on the tooltip. And we want to make sure this time around it is ATTR. And the previous year, let's bring that on the tooltip as well. We want to make sure that is ATTR. All right. And let's bring in our labels as well. We'll bring in the metric swap calc label on the tooltip, and that'll stay as an ag. And we want to bring in previous year as well. So again, this sets us up for the tooltip. And for the sake of brevity here, let's do one of these. And what does that look like? All right, so it comes in, and the same deal. We just need to format these as we've done before. I'm just going to do that very quickly through the magic of editing. Okay, again, through the magic of editing, you can see that this is formatted correctly. The percentage and the 2 years look correct. Let's go down here to the metric swap calc previous year, and I want to change this color. Let's make this let's make this black, right? Say OK. And then here on the sizing, let's change this size down maybe. Oops. Let's do this. Let's change the size down to about right here. And obviously we want to do the same thing here as well. Get it to fit just inside there. All right. So now that's looking clean right there. Want that technology to show. And I believe we are almost there. We just want to make sure that we are sorted correctly, descending sort on our categories. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's do a sort and not data source order by field. And the field is going to be metric swap calc. And aggregation, we can leave that as custom swap calc. That is going to be descending, right? So we have 5511 and then -4. So we have that on top. That is good. We will leave that. And so this is basically our bar chart here. We're just going to rinse and repeat this for different dimension. Okay, before we create this segment bar, I'm just going to change both of these to black here. Let me just go back in here. I kind of like the standout black here. There we go. So now all we have to, we've got category bar. Watch this. We're going to duplicate this, and this is going to be segment bar. And so it's going to be pretty much the same as category bar, but guess what? We're going to put our segment. We're going to put a different dimension up here. We're going to go segment and get rid of category. And there we go. Now it's just kind of formatting, right? We kind of format it. What were we? We were Tableau book black 8. There we go. So that is formatted. And we can take a look at that. And that is pretty much it. Like I said, once you create one, the other ones are pretty much fairly simple to create. The only thing we want to do is make sure that we're sorted correctly. So we'll do that sort. Instead of data source order, we're going to do the field, and we'll do descending by, was it metric swap calc, and the aggregation. That is good. And so now we can test. We didn't test any of these yet. So let's go ahead and pull in maybe our metric swap parameter. Let's show the parameter. And let's go sales, profit, orders, right? You see these are changing. So that's looking promising, and we have our tooltip. So again, we're going to do another one for the ship bar. We're just going to duplicate this. Let's go ahead and duplicate. We're going to call this ship bar. And we're going to drag the ship mode up here. Get rid of the segment. We got first class, same day, second class, and standard. And I want to make sure that we are sorting and formatting as we've done before. We've kind of format here, Tableau book, black here, and 8. There we go. We bring that in. Everything looks the same here. We're going to sort this. Again, you know the drill by now. Descending, metric swap calc. All right. And again, if we can test this, we are getting some changes here. That is good, right? And we've only got one more bar to go here. Okay, last but not least, we're going to do state bar. State bar for all you lawyers out there. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. Let's duplicate. And this is going to be state bar, right? And we're going to grab the state. We're going to bring that in. And we got a lot of states. We're going to hide that. And don't worry, we're going to do a filter on these to just do kind of like the top 10. But for now, let's go ahead and let's add the filter right now. So here on the state, we can filter, right? And we want a top by field, top 10 by our metric swap calc, of course. There's metric swap calc. And yeah, top 10 by metric swap calc. Let's say okay. Well, what if this custom? Yeah, that's fine. I say okay there. All right, so now we've got 10, a little bit more manageable here. And just like before, what are we doing? We're formatting. We're going to go make this 8, Tableau book, make that black, right? And then we just have to apply our sort just like we've done before by our field, metric swap calc, and descending order. There we go. And then let's just make sure that we get some changes here. Ooh, man, we're really under here in Florida. Come on, Florida man, buy those widgets. So, all right, so this is looking good. So now we have all of our bar charts here that are required. And I'm just going to, if I can do this, right click. Will it not let me? I don't know why it won't let me do multiple at a time, but usually I can change the color here. And I want to change all of these to like a green. I should be able to. I'm stubborn. All right, it just won't let me do it tonight. We'll change this to green. We'll change this to green, and we'll change this to green. All right, so we have one last chart to go here, our button swap chart. So thank you for hanging in this long. Again, you're learning stuff. I know I learned some things when I kind of broke this down and rebuilt it. So we've got one more chart. So stay in here and let's power through and get this done. Okay, now we're going to make our button sheet. It's a selector, essentially, for our different metrics. So let's go ahead and I created a new worksheet, called it buttons, right? And I created 3 new calculated fields. I know you love the calculated fields by now. And so they're button orders, button profit, button sales. And I'm going to create a folder. And we're going to call this folder buttons, say okay, and we're going to put all 3 of those in there. And so very simple what's in here. Button orders is orders. Button profit is simply profit. And make sure that these are capitalized, right? So capital P for profit. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So button sales is sales. So we have those 3. And so what we need to do, a time-tested kind of Tableau hack, we need to create independent axes. And so you can do that with sum of 0. We're going to put that on the columns here. So sum of 0, I'm just going to type it in. We've got that. And then I'm just going to do it 3 times. Sum of 0. See how we're getting independent axes, and it allows us to place things there. That's why you'll see maybe sum 0 or min 0. Sometimes you'll just see different aggregations, but it's the same concept. Let's go ahead and hide the title because we don't need that. And let's do some formatting. We don't need to show the header on any of this. And, I wish there was, come on, Tableau, I wish there was just a button to get rid of all lines. Like if I go in here, like no lines show up. Column divider, none. You have to make sure. Row divider, columns, none. Go in here. Grid lines, none. Oh, sorry. I like to do it on the sheet. 0 lines, none. And columns. So there we go. I'm nice and clean there. And, what I can do, I'm going to drag the metric swap parameter to colors here. So let's drag the good old metric swap parameter. Oh, the actual parameter. Let's drag that to color right here. And we can show the parameter. Let's go ahead and show it. And it doesn't mean much right now, but I'm just going to change that to sales. And I like to see this full name metric swap param. Okay, so let's drag our button sales to the label here, right? So that should show up, and eventually it'll show up. Let's change this to a square, and let's go entire view on this, entire view, and you'll see sales is there, and we can adjust the size. So I'm going to adjust the size of this. We're going to make this pretty big right here. So let's kind of maybe about right here. That feels good. Let's change, let's go in here to the label. And in here, yes, we have button sales, but you know what? I am going to type sales here. And how do I want to format that? Let's do a Tableau book 9 point. Yeah, that feels right. Let's go okay with that. And let's make this middle center. Right? That feels good. So now we have sales. And so we need to change this metric swap param equal. This is going to be a Boolean to our button sales. It's just checking for true or false. All right. And I'm going to clear the tooltip. I don't need anything in the tooltips here. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to uncheck these as well. So I just kind of have sales right there. Actually, I can go into worksheet, worksheet tooltip and just kind of get rid of all of this. There we go. So I just have sales right there. And so, kind of same deal here. I'm going to go to ag 0, and we'll do the metric swap param on the colors. And I want to make sure that that is equal to, it's checking. It's going to, resolve to true or false. It's going to be button profit, right? So there we go. It's going to give us kind of like a true or false. And I'm just going to tighten these up right here. And then I'm going to drag button profit to label. Actually, again, we're making sure that this is a square. And the size, I want to try and make it equal. I wish there was a way to just kind of format painter, help me out, Tableau, right? And then on the label here, I know we put profit, but yeah. Whoops. I'm just going to put profit there. Say okay. And then I want this to be in the center again. So we're just kind of setting these up all the same here. Kind of same deal. Make sure that size is right. Make sure that we have that 8 point. Yep. And then obviously on the tooltips, nothing's going to show, just making sure. And again, one more time here, what do we do before? We grab the metric swap param here. So we're going to drag metric swap param here to the colors. And then this one's going to be equal button orders, right? And then we're going to take button orders and put that on the label. Then I go into my label. Whoops. Let's make this orders. Sorry, all caps. All caps, MF Doom. Say okay. Let's make this a square and the size. We want to be about the same. Oh yeah, let's go back in here. Bam, bam. And there we go. So now we're set up like this. And we need to play around with the colors here to make it seem like we have a nice little selector here. So we're going to change these colors. Okay, we're in the home stretch here. So now we're just changing our colors. So when this is true, I want this to evaluate to a very, very kind of faint color here. See this? And actually, I'm going to put that here. We can add that to a custom color. And if I do that and come back, right, so that very, very faint kind of off-white. And I'm going to say okay for when that's true, when that sales is true. And for these falses, I want to make sure that these falses are white. So I should have just a plain old white in here. There we go. Say okay. And I want to make sure that this false is also plain white, all F's there. Say okay. So now, when sales is selected, sales becomes this very, very off-white, pale blue, and these others become white. And so now what we need to do, we need to switch this. Let's go to profit and kind of same deal. When orders, let me drag this out a little bit, right? So when our profit, so now profit is true. So what happens when profit is true? We want our very, very light off-white, and then the others have to be white. So we'll go in here and we'll change this to white, and we'll go say okay. And then that false is already good. So let's check here for sales. That looks good. For profit, that looks good. And so now let's change this to orders and select these, correct this as well. So on the true, we want to assign our very light off white here, say okay, and the others are already false. So now we have kind of like our selector. We're going to use this as a selector. When you select sales on the dashboard, it's going to be very light and the others are white. When I select profit, so on and so forth, as you can see how this behaves. Okay, you made it this far. I want to thank you for hanging in here with me. We put together all of these worksheets. You've learned how to build out all of the charts necessary to put our dashboard together. And I'm just going to bring the dashboard over here. And again, this is designed by Dmitry Shirikov. Give him a follow on Tableau Public. Give Murillo a follow as well. And so you can see here all of these chart pieces or these worksheets that we put together come together on the dashboard. You can see what we just put together. When I select the profit and the orders, things change. When I select a year, things change here. Now, I'll make another video on if you leave a comment, like if I'm getting some good vibes about it, I'll make a video on how to stack all of these elements together and combine them into the dashboard. I may make that available in my members section, but there's some work. There's some work to do that. You can see my item hierarchy. I like to keep it clean. I do the one main floating dashboard, and then you don't see any tiled in here. Everything in here is nice and organized. There is some work to put together something like this. But in any event, I want to thank you for hanging in here with me, watching me put together all of the elements for this dashboard. And again, look out for another video where I put this together, put all these chart pieces together. Leave a comment if you would love to see that. As always, if you learned something, leave a comment, hit that like button. This has been Anthony Smoak. Get out there, do some great things with your data. Thanks for watching, everyone.